What's up, you guys? I hope you're doing amazing. We are on day 8, and unfortunately, I missed another day. Something that you may not know about me is I live with a fairly severe chronic illness. And what I have learned over the last 5 years of working through this, that when my body says stop, I have to stop. And so yesterday, unrelated, I had a really bad stomach bug and I was not feeling well. And I knew I could show up and make a very disingenuous and unengaged video and check off a box, or I could just again take another break and get back to it. So here I am getting back to it. And to be honest, I am tired and but I am here. And I'm actually really passionate and excited to talk to you about what it's like to have a chronic illness, but more so to teach you how to start listening to your body, because there's a lot of times where we miss the subtle cues that our body gives us that is asking us to slow down or do less or pay attention to this or pay attention to that your focus on checking boxes or pushing through or being the strong one is only helping you to avoid, which is going to lead to even worse health symptoms that you're going to have to deal with later on. And so today I'm going to share with you my story about how this happened, what happened to me, because I was a very, very healthy person before this. And things that you can pay attention to and notice in your own health in order to make sure that you are not either A, being gaslit by doctors, or being dismissed by family members and loved ones. And so that your voice can remain powerful, because you deserve to have a healthy body. You deserve to have the help that you need in order to be treated. So um, come on, sit in here and let's get to it. My name is Brianna, and I am first and foremost a 20 plus year licensed clinical therapist. But beyond that, I am a multifaceted mentor who works with 6 and 7 figure CEOs to help them match their personal life to their professional success. I'm also a stylist, an author, and a speaker. And also, I'm a dog sitter. And look at this sweet boy I'm watching. This is Teddy. He's like 5 pounds. He's like, who are you talking to, lady? But he's been sitting on my lap all day as I worked. So yeah, I got the stomach bug yesterday. I don't know where it came from. My bonus daughter was sick the day before, complaining about a stomach ache. So I just chalked it up to she gave me something. And unfortunately, when my immune system gets compromised, everything else falls apart. So I have learned over these last 5 years that if there is any sign of sickness for me, I take a rest day, I take it off. I literally laid in bed all day. I think I napped twice. I watched Grace and Frankie for a few hours. I did a little bit of stuff on my laptop, but yeah, I canceled all my clients and I didn't feel guilty about it at all. And I think it's what allowed me to bounce back as quick as I did, because I stayed in bed and did nothing. So, I don't know if you have ever been exposed to mold, but living in the West Coast doesn't exist. I didn't even know anything about it. When I moved to the East Coast, I soon discovered through my own experience that mold exposure is a real thing. And so, if you're someone who has experienced mold, let me know in the chat. If you are concerned that you might be exposed to mold, let me know, and I can send you the at-home test that I ordered and used. That was an exact replica of what the air sample person that came out and took a larger test took. They're exactly the same. And the air sample person recommended this exact test. And I was like, oh, I already did that. That's why I called you. Because there are so many hidden symptoms that are confused with just normal day-to-day illnesses, mental health illnesses, aging. So it is really important that if you are even instinctually thinking something might be up with the place you're living, order the test, okay? And one thing I'm going to say about the testing of this, If you think it's over the whole house, test the whole house. But if you think it's in one area, only test that area when you do the take home test, because that will really help to determine where the mold is at. It's worth the investment, I promise. So I'm going to tell you my story first. You had heard me in one of my other videos about moving several times when I lived in South Carolina because of the different seasons of life I was in and where I wanted to be. And the last place that I lived in South Carolina was this little bungalow home right outside of downtown Greenville. And I loved the location. I loved the backyard. I actually loved my neighborhood. It was on the end of the street. It was quiet. It was perfect. It was right for all of the reasons that it needed to be for me and the dogs that I was fostering. And so, yeah, it was simple. Um, but about a year after I started living there, I started just noticing weird things. Like I could not sleep. I could not fall asleep. I couldn't sleep through the night. I was tossing and turning, and I just, like, I didn't understand why. Um, and then soon after that, I started to develop this very dry throat cough, like a, like a, I don't know how to describe it. That's what it sounds like. Like it wasn't a chest cough, So it was just like me constantly clearing my throat, but through a cough. And how annoying that everybody would think I was sneezing. So I'd be like, and I'd be like, don't say bless me anymore. I'm blessed. Okay. I am blessed. Um, but anyway, so I developed this cough, and then I started having like super foggy brain, like forgetting things, putting things in places that they didn't belong. And all of this time I was just like, man, like what's wrong? I must be sick. I must be really stressed out. At that time I was microdosing. So I thought I was like in my prime when it came to like my mental stamina, but still that wasn't helping. And then my period started to get super funky, like real funky. And so I went to the doctor for the cough, and they were like, well, it's probably just allergies. Here's a inhaler, and just take a Zyrtec or something. And I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not taking Zyrtec, because the thing of it is I'm very sensitive to everything. Like non-drowsy allergy medicine knocks me out in about 30 minutes. Like I'm just very sensitive to this stuff. So um, I just kept living with it. So now fast forward, I'm in year 3 in this home. So year 1, I started the cough, the other thing. So by the end of year 2, um, I had fostered a dog that was feral, and we were going for a walk. She broke loose from the leash from my hand and disappeared. And I was about to go on this beautiful trip to the Caribbean with my family. And so I was stressing out about how to get this dog back. Oh, and there was a huge storm coming through with like tornado warnings. And I was like, this poor dog is going to be out in the middle of wherever she is, lost, confused. She's going to get hit by a car. Like I was just thinking the worst. So one of the days I went out to look for her, and was walking through the woods where we thought that she might be, came home, showered, and I had to go teach a hot yoga class. And in the middle of the class, my ears swelled up, like I could not hear. My lips looked like this. If I could post a picture, I would. My eyes were swollen shut. My face was beet red. My neck was beet red. And I had hives completely down my body. I walked out of that class before it was done and rushed myself to the ER, because I was like, what in the world is happening? Again, they say, oh, you probably just had an allergic reaction to something. And they gave me a steroid shot. And it really did not simmer these things down at all. I went to another doctor the next day, and they again said, well, it might be allergies. I said, it's not allergies. They said, well, then maybe you're allergic to something inside your home. Have you changed your lotion? Have you changed this? No, I haven't changed any of that. Y'all, up until this point, I never got COVID because they tested me for it. I never got COVID. I never got sick. I rarely got anything. But at that first year living in that house, I had gotten like 2 flus and 1 stomach bug, and then like another big head cold. And I was like, this is so odd. Like, I have literally prided myself on never being sick. And then all of a sudden I'm sick all the time. Like, man, what's going on with my immune system? So, meet with another doctor. They say, well, maybe it's anxiety, and they prescribe me this medication. Then another doctor has me doing this electrode stuff because, again, they say they first of all, this doctor did Lyme disease testing, rheumatoid arthritis, like every test that I could take, I took it, every single one. All of them came back negative, but all of my tests kept showing high inflammation. And so the next doctor was like, okay, you're going to take this pill. Oh my gosh, I forget what it's called. They give it to um, methadone clients coming off of opiates. Anyways, if you take it in a small, I think it's like 5 milligram dosage, what it does is it lowers your like nervous system levels so that whatever your body is trying to like produce or get when you're on these pills, um, it helps to calm that craving in large doses, but in small doses it helps your nervous system. I'm gonna have to figure out what it's called because my mind is blinking. That actually started to give me ringing in the ears and these crazy headaches, so much so that I called him at like 8 o'clock at night one day crying, like, I don't know what's wrong. I feel like I'm going to have to rush to the hospital. I'm losing my mind. Like, something's wrong. Something is wrong. Like, this is not normal for me. This is not normal for me. I was bawling. And he said, well, I mean, what do you think it is? At this point, y'all, I felt like I was going to lose my ish because I was mentally drained, physically drained, emotionally drained. At the time, I had been working with a client who had dealt with some mold exposure, and I was sharing with her what had been happening. And she was like, man, Brianna, I really think that you should test your house for mold because this sounds very scary, but also like you're getting worse the longer you're in this place. So I tested for mold, and lo and behold, it came back positive for the Aspergillus. Blah, 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 blah. It's a long word. So it wasn't black mold, which is good. So I had a friend whose husband was a lawyer. He connected me with somebody in the South Carolinas that works specifically with mold people. At this time, within this 3 years, I had been sharing with my landlord that there was a leak in the basement, that water was puddling in there, and that it smelled bad, but like I couldn't smell it in my house. So like I obviously didn't see any mold. Shh. I didn't see any mold. So like to me, I didn't put two and two together that mold could still be somewhere that you couldn't see it. And so the lawyer told me that I should hire an air mold tester to come out to the house. And so that person did this really intensive, like there's this tripod, and they measure every room, and they measure the outside and the front, and they do all of this measuring. And when I got that back, same as my in-home mold test, all in the red in these two areas. And when I read what this mold can cause, I mean, it can cause brain tumors. It can cause, foggy thinking, female issues when it comes to your periods, your ovaries, like all kinds of stuff. And so I sent this stuff to my lawyer, and I ended up suing my landlord, and I won. Praise God, I won. Haven't seen the money yet, but I'm not attached to that because I felt really proud of myself, because a lot of people in my situation either A, don't have the resources, or B, like don't win because they don't have enough proof. So I was a lucky person in this, and I'm very grateful for that. But part of the reason why I won is because what happened from that chronic mold exposure for 3 years is it gave me something called mast cell activation syndrome, MCAS. And so what happens is the mast cells are work with your histamine production, and mine are deformed. now. And so what happens is my body thinks that it needs to produce histamine when it doesn't. And so I'm oftentimes breaking out in hives for no reason. I get out of a hot shower, hives. If I work out, hives. If I play too long outside with the kids, hives. If I go for a walk and I'm sweating and it's hot, hives. So like I'm constantly in hives. So like the inside of my body is on fire. It's burning. I'm itching. I've got literal, right now I've been itching. And I think again, it's because my immune system was compromised yesterday. And so the last 24 hours, I've been itching so much on the back of my legs. So now I've got bloody scrapes all over my legs. Um, and this is now my life until, God sees it fit to heal my body. And it's part of my story. And I know it's a part of what's going to be my testimony, but it's also a part of what I can do to help others. It was very frustrating to meet with all these doctors and not have any answers until I found the answers myself. It was very angering to live in a home that somebody else owned who didn't show any care for me, and left me with something that I would have never had I not lived in that house. And so there's been a lot of like ups and downs in this experience, because I was also exposed to mold at my most recent apartment I was living in before we got this house, and got sick again. And so part of me learning to listen to my body and stop and pause is because it's the most valuable thing I can do for my own healing. And I know it's valuable for you in your own healing. So I want to talk about, I want to, I don't know, educate, talk about chronic illness a little bit, because I had to teach my husband things that he was not aware of. And he had to learn to navigate my flare ups with me differently than like if I was just having a bad day. And I had to learn to navigate my flare ups differently from just having a bad day or a bad night's sleep. And so, the struggles that really happen is like most chronic illnesses are very invisible, and they're real. They're visible and they're real. You can't see them on the outside. You see me and you probably see a really healthy woman. You see me and you see somebody who takes really great care of herself. But no matter how good I eat, no matter how much I exercise, no matter how much water I drink, no matter what I cut out of my diet, I still have these. And so it's ongoing, it's unpredictable, and it's persistent. And so it can be draining. That's the only way to say it. It can be draining because the flare ups are unpredictable. When I fast, it'll go away for a little while, but I can't live in fasting. That just doesn't work for me as an active person. Um, and so it comes back. And so I can find these days where I find joy in my body and joy in what's happening. But I always know in the back of my head that like the moment I got out of the shower and start itching, I'm like, oh, it's back again. And so then I have to fast again, or I have to like cut out certain things for a while. I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped eating eggs. I stopped eating spinach. I like things that are high histamine production. I don't typically eat those things. I eat a lot of meat, and root vegetables. Snoozeville. But it's hard because you almost have to start creating a routine around knowing that when you have a flare up, things have to change. Like there's this flexibility in your routine that you have to create, because you can't do life the same when you're in a flare up. The other part is that sense of not being believed or understood. Like what happens to me makes no sense. You look healthy, Brianna, or like it's just hives. Like, can't you take a Zyrtec? Like, no, none of those things work, or I would have done them by now. If I could drink Zyrtec to make this go away, I would do it, but it doesn't work that way. So it's hard because Western medicine, kept labeling me as asthmatic and allergic and anxious. And yes, I was anxious, but like that's not what it was from. And I felt like I was having to fight for my life and teach doctors how to um, navigate me in order to feel cared for. It was hard. Like that, when I was at my worst and the doctor said, "Well, what do you think it is?" It was like I lost it. I started crying so hard because I was like, I don't know, because if I knew, I would do something, and I can't. Nothing's working. Um, and that's why the other piece of this is like the mental burden that it is costing, and that there's a constant management you have to have. Like I have really had to work on my mental fortitude and not feeling defeated from the multiple days on end that this brings. And then remember, like I just mentioned, like I had a recent re-exposure, and so all of my symptoms came back. And at that time, y'all, perimenopause had slapped me across the face. So not only was I constantly breaking out in hives, coughing, when I say coughing 24 hours a day, every day, like I'm not exaggerating. You can comment and tag, ask my husband, and he'll tell you the truth. Like I could not stop coughing all day long. Like I would have the worst migraine headaches from coughing. I would have to cancel clients from coughing. And then add to that perimenopause, where I'm not having sex with my husband. I'm moody, I'm irritable, I'm lashing out, I'm crying. Like I thought I was losing it until boom, this time we saw mold in the bathroom. They came and cleaned it out, but what they didn't do was they should have ripped out the carpet. They should have repainted the walls in that room, because my sensitivity is so high that everything has to be cleared out, or else it's just going to continue to attack me. Um, and I feel like the last piece about having a chronic illness that I notice for myself is that, like, there is this piece of, I don't do this, but I notice how much chronic illness becomes a label and an identity. And so I always try to say, like, I struggle with chronic illness. I try to say, yeah, I have a chronic illness because of mold exposure, because I'm not about to like be in the spot. I'm going to raise awareness. I'm going to teach. I'm going to educate. I'm going to help other people find the root cause of why they're sick. But I don't believe that I'm going to stay stuck in this. So, what I've learned about accepting rest and changing movement and changing energy is I went from like pushing through everything to really slowing down and listening. And that can become such a big superpower for you, no matter whether you struggle with the chronic illness or you just live a very busy life. Slowing down and moving through things at a slower pace and allowing yourself to right, rest, um, are two of the best things that you can give yourself to actually be a better performer in life, to accomplish your tasks, be more present, um, you know, and be more clear on your vision. Um, I used to be so good at like pushing through my workouts, lifting super heavy, like being super exhausted. And now I'm at this place where like I'm okay with walking on the Stairmaster thing for 20 minutes and calling it a day. If I start to feel a little bit different after that 20 minutes, I'm okay. I now eat so much better that I'm not concerned about like gaining weight or, like getting fat or getting lazy. Now I miss being muscular. Oh my gosh, you guys. I love being muscular. And my biggest mental flight was before I got sick this last time, I had the best body. Like I was at what I felt was my prime. And I loved the way that I looked. And then I had to go almost 9 months, no gym, walking the dog. So I lost all of my muscle. And that sucked. I was really sad. So now I'm trying to figure out what my next step is when it comes to like what that looks like, because I'd like to get back there. Um, but I know it's going to take time and patience and energy. And right now I'm in a season where taking it slow and doing things more gently is just what I need. So eventually I'll get back there and I'll get ripped. But right now I'm just kind of not there, and it's okay. Um, so for you, what I want to encourage you in this area is to create new rituals that you can be flexible with. So, like instead of me lifting heavy, I'm just walking on the Stairmaster and doing body, squats and stuff like that. Instead of like moving quick through the mornings, I've adjusted my mornings to move slowly so I don't start work until later. I mean, I have the this thing. I have the convenience of being able to do that. And this matters because um, if you ignore the things that you need, it only keeps you sicker longer. So I work with a lot of chronic illness patients in my therapy practice as well. And that's one of the biggest things that we're constantly coming back to talk about. You can't see. Look, he's trying to look there. Is what? That's one of the biggest things we talk about is, yeah, I hear you. You're feeling frustrated. You want to push through, but like that's going to keep you sicker longer. And also, when you feel better, don't add in all of those things at once that you've been doing, because what's going to happen? Your immune system's not strong enough yet. So you have to really learn to ride this wave with a little more grace and a little more like gentleness instead of forcing things. Um, Now, when it comes to chronic illness and relationships, this is the one that I had to learn because obviously when I first developed this, um, I was I was single. I didn't have to worry about like explaining things to anybody, and I could hide and isolate as much as I wanted to when I needed to, and it wouldn't impact anyone. But since being married, one of the challenges that I had at first was my husband like understanding like what it meant. Like I can't just stop coughing, and I can't just take medicine for it. Now I have found, thank God, because of my amazing nutritionist that I work with. She's connected me with somebody who does peptide work. And so I've been taking a couple of peptides that I'll put in the comments as well. TB, BC, BCH, or something like that. But they're injections I take 5 days a week, and they've actually helped. But I know it takes a little bit longer to get those to kind of sustain what's going on. But you just have daily limitations. And sometimes our partners or family members, like they don't get it that like a 20-minute walk is all you can do. Um, and you're blocking my microphone, boy. How can I help you? Um, but I think the flip side of that too is that at least for my husband, and I can imagine for your partners as well, if you struggle with chronic illness, is like your partners feel helpless. Like they want you to feel better too. They want to do whatever they can to help you. And when all you can do is rest and like you don't need much, I understand now based on my conversations with him that like that's really hard for him to see. It's hard for them to see us suffering. It's hard for them to not be able to step in and make things better. And so we also have to like be patient with their experience of our chronic illness because um, they're going through it as well. It just looks different. And then there's this like odd gap, right? Like we have this person who cares about me. You have this person that cares about you, but they don't live in the full lived experience of it. They're only getting parts of it because they're not the one going through it the way we are. And so there's this odd gap and disconnect. And so I think that like the advice that I could give to anyone watching this who either A, knows somebody with a chronic illness, or maybe you're in a relationship with one, or maybe you end up marrying somebody who has it, is to just, excuse me, just listen, right? Just listen. I feel like I was about to get the hiccups. Just listen and reflect back what you're hearing. Don't judge them. Don't give them a bunch of advice. Don't ask if they've tried X, Y, and Z. Just listen. And then help offer help them by offering help. If there's anything that you need, please let me know. Or is there anything I can do for you to make this easier, right? Because validating the experience and just being there as a support tool is sometimes all we need. Um, yeah, that's that. All right, the last piece that I want to talk about is just speaking directly to anybody that is dealing with chronic illness, that feels fatigued, because sometimes I feel that way, especially when you are my age and you're doing chronic illness stuff with perimenopause or menopause, if you're, further along the road. Like, my God, why us women got to be beat up so much with all the things that we have to go through? Please make it make sense. Because I did not sign up for that, Beaks. But remember, you're doing the best you can. Okay. It doesn't, I mean, how many times have I gone on here and talked about releasing this idea of perfectionism? It doesn't have to be perfect. You're doing the best you can. And even if you didn't have a chronic illness, your body has limits. And so having limits doesn't make you weak. Having limits makes you aware, and awareness is what gives you strength, because now you can catch things before they get worse. Awareness helps you to see things sooner so that you can negate and stop things from happening that could be potentially worse. Oh my gosh, I've got his hair on my nose. And the other thing is rest is not giving up or giving in. Rest is necessary. Rest is valuable. Rest is important. And slowing down is actually going to give you strength, because it's going to allow your immune system to catch up. It's going to allow your blood to rebuild quicker. It's going to allow the oxygen to come into your body sooner. So allow yourself to rest. Because yes, chronic illness does change your life. My life has never been the same since I was exposed to mold. And some days I wish I could go back. It makes me emotional thinking about it. Like, I wish I could go back to being healthy. And while I know overall I am healthy, this thing that I am constantly fighting in a body that I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight my body, but it feels like I have to sometimes. And it can be draining. But what I want to remind you of is, like, life is not over just because you have this. Life is not over just because you're struggling with this. We deserve to have a full life where this isn't what's running our decisions or running our choices. So some days I just decide, okay, yep, I know this is going to happen. I know I'm going to have a flare up of hives. I will never cough unless I'm exposed to mold. So that part, thank you, God, is amazing. But I just want to, encourage you not to give up, and that you're not in this alone. I feel like it can be a very lonely path, because no matter how you describe it to anybody, nobody gets it unless they're going through it as well. And so if you do struggle with a chronic illness, please leave a comment below, share your experience with me, so that I can be somebody walking through it with you. And if you want to share this video with anybody that's struggling with a chronic illness or who has mold exposure, I will give you any information that I have, that I can help you with to get you the support you need, especially if you're in South Carolina. I can connect you to my lawyer. He's amazing. And I can, again, give you the tools and the things that I did to make sure that I had the support I needed, as well as the medical providers that I've used to help me as well. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you. And again, my name is Brianna, and I'll see you for day 9 tomorrow. Ta-ta.